Hello there, a very good evening to you. You're welcome to News Tonight here on GHOne TV with me, Natalie Fort. Let's take a look at our top stories. Coming up this evening, minority demands Cocoa Board CEO and Finance Minister to be summoned to Parliament to brief the House on developments in the cocoa sector, as government orders a forensic audit and criminal investigation into Cocoa Board's operations. Also ahead, today marks World Radio Day, a day to celebrate broadcasters worldwide, their voices, the stories they share, and the vital role radio continues to play in connecting communities. In business, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority has cracked down on the illegal sale of defective vehicle number plates, shutting down several non-compliant offices in Cape Coast and Sunyane. On eZone tonight, we ask the question, what is love and how do people express it as we celebrate Valentine's Day tomorrow? And on the international front, Nigeria sets February 20, 2027 for presidential election, followed by legislative polls and governor elections by March 3, 2027. Those are the top stories. We bring you the details of these and much more news here on News Tonight. Let's settle down for the details now on News Tonight on GHOne TV, streaming live all across the world on Facebook and on X at GHOne TV. As today is World Radio Day, radio journalists are calling on their colleagues to embrace new skills and adapt to emerging artificial intelligence technologies to remain relevant in a fast-changing media landscape. The appeal coincides with this year's World Radio Day themed Radio and AI. Media practitioners say AI-powered tools are already transforming newsroom operations from transcription and script writing to data analysis and content production, making work faster and more efficient. However, they caution against over-dependence and automation, emphasizing that editorial judgment, ethics, and credibility remain the defining strengths of human journalists. Farida Abubakar reports.
February 13 is marked globally as World Radio Day, celebrating radio's enduring role as a trusted and far-reaching medium. Since the early 20th century, radio has connected people across distances and shaped public discourse. In Ghana, broadcasting began in 1935 with Radio Zoe, and it has since become a reliable source of news, entertainment, and culture in homes, markets, and public transport. With this year's theme, Radio and Artificial Intelligence, journalists describe AI as a valuable support tool in the newsroom, but stress that it must enhance, not replace the human voice, ethics, and judgment that define the profession.
It's rather enhancing and broadening our periscope when it comes to this work. Because you can't tell me that because you've been using ATM to withdraw cash. So going to the bank to join the queue or something like that has made you lazy. No, it has rather improved the mode of work and the scope of work. It has rather enhanced it, but it depends on who is behind. Because AI is a tool, so who is using it? Let's say, how effective is your work output?
Yes.
How do you use it? I use it to structure, to polish, and to enhance my research. And the outcome. So what's the outcome of my work as compared to others? So that is what makes the difference.
As a radio journalist, Christopher Abodiranson notes that AI tools such as ChatGPT, Canva AI, and Meta AI are transforming storytelling and reporting, simplifying tasks like transcription and research.
AI is a savior
Because I remember way back when you're going out to report, you have to listen to everything dito. Sometimes when the video guys are walking around, you just have to listen attentively. Like write everything dito. But now with AI tools, it's easy. You just have to get one of the apps, you record, and even while recording, it will be generating the text for you. So I think AI is a savior, and it has really helped. It has made the work very, very easy.
As Ghana celebrates World Radio Day today, radio journalists are urged to leverage AI tools to enhance their work and stay relevant.
Let's stay on this and go to Zoom now. Engage with the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association President Abdullahi Awudu for his take on this issue. Good evening to you, Abdullahi, and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, it's obvious that artificial intelligence is here to stay. How do you view it transforming the radio landscape in the country, and what opportunities and probably challenges as well does it present to media practitioners in Ghana?
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Perfectly. Please do carry on.
Yes, Farida's report kind of captures what AI is doing for us. But before I go into what AI can do for us, I must take the opportunity to celebrate radio and the dedicated broadcasters who have been broadcasting for years since radio started. The impact it has had on Ghana in shaping our democracy, literacy. I mean, it's played a major role in all aspects of our life, giving a voice to the people to participate in our democratic process. So I thank all radio broadcasters and all radio stations, including AIB, for your numerous stations, for the work that radio has done for us. And now to your question, what can AI do for us? AI has impacted all aspects of our life. Every industry has been impacted by AI, and I believe that AI will enhance radio. You know, when radio started, it started on the short wave, it went into frequent FM, and now AI. So the technology just helps you to be able to do your work more efficiently. But the theme of this year's celebration says, AI is a tool and it's not a voice. It's a tool that can enhance your production or the value chain, right from ideation, positioning your brand, programming, technology, research, production processes. But the voice behind the tool is still very powerful. The voice that shapes the conversations and discussions.
Right. Now, you talk about AI enhancing the work of journalists and specifically in the radio field. But there's also the issue of overdependence. In as much as it has enhanced work, it can create a high level of overdependence where there's not even enough thinking or application because of the reliance on artificial intelligence. What specific skills and training would you say that broadcasters in Ghana need to effectively leverage AI tools as a tool and not be overly dependent on it?
Okay, so every broadcaster, I mean, irrespective of the generation that you, especially for journalists and even all other aspects, music programming, entertainment programming, you learn the ethics of the profession. You know, the basic ethics of the profession still stay the same, irrespective of the technology that you're using to do. So we just have to enhance our training in ethics. We have to enhance our training in identifying gaps in the use of technology because like all technology, like all internet-based technology, garbage in, garbage out. So if your fundamentals are not strong, your ethics are not strong, and you're using the tool, the outcomes will be bad. Now, in terms of over-dependency, you know, look, it makes you more efficient, it makes you fast, it makes you able to deliver on time, meet your deadlines. But the underlying thing is that the technology cannot create connections. It's the broadcaster, it's the human connections that must be there. So if you over-depend on it, you are going to disengage from your audience, and gradually you see that you'll be losing market share.
Right. Now, I'm going to ask that you hold briefly. I'm going to be taking a report and then get your perspective on it. Now, during proceedings in Parliament, members of Parliament call for better pay for journalists, insisting that media houses should ensure that their staff are fairly compensated. They emphasize the need to support the media workforce to strengthen press freedom and accountability in the country.
This celebrates radio as a powerful medium that shapes public discourse, preserves cultural heritage, facilitates democratic participation, and serves as a critical instrument for information dissemination across geographical, socio-economic, and technological divides. World Radio Day recognizes radio's unique capacity to reach diverse audiences, foster community dialogues, and provide platforms for marginalized voices that may otherwise remain unheard in our national conversation. To media owners, you must ensure that your investment in the professional development and capacity building of radio practitioners, ensuring that journalists and broadcasters possess the requisite skills, ethical grounding, and resources necessary to discharge their responsibilities with fairness, accuracy, and integrity. Mr. Speaker, media owners must resist the temptation toward sensationalism and yellow journalism that prioritizes ratings and revenue over truth and public interest. Radio stations must establish and enforce rigorous editorial standards, fact-checking mechanisms, and ethical guidelines that prevent spread of misinformation and disinformation. Media organizations must provide adequate remuneration and working conditions for journalists, recognizing that poorly compensated and insecure media workers are vulnerable to corruption and ethical practices that undermine the profession's credibility. Mr. Speaker, let me commend highly the likes of Chairman General Kwame Sefakan, OB of Asempa, Nanaya Okesi of Peace FM, Bolare, Bernard Avle, Kofi Kumbelson, Kojo Youngson, Samuel Atamensa, and all radio presenters.
Radio broadcasting also empowers our people as it encourages some of them to speak out on some of the activities that are nefarious, which could have been hidden and would never have been known. Mr. Speaker, it is important to also mention that all these good achievements in radio broadcasting will forever remain a mirage if the rights of journalists are not protected. For this reason, it is important to mention that the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana 1992 stipulates that every Ghanaian should have the right to speak, should have the right to express himself at any time without any interference or without any intimidation. Mr. Speaker.
Some parliamentarians there on the floor of the House speaking in relation to journalists in line with World Radio Day. And I'm going to return to you, President of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, Mr. Awudu. Fair compensation is an issue that comes up time and again as it pertains to journalists and how it makes journalists susceptible to corruption when they are not fairly compensated. What's your take on this issue and the proposition and calls put forward by the MPs?
A lot to unpack there, but we'll focus on the compensation question that you asked. There are quite a number of radio stations, public sector, radio, community, and then commercial radio stations. In Ghana, the bulk of our radio stations are commercial radio stations. And the commercial, as the name shows us, the commercial radio station must make money to be able to become a viable company. And the only way that a company can pay the right salaries and remuneration and packages for their people is to ensure that they are commercially viable. Now, there's something in our market which is quite peculiar. If you look at the number of commercial radio stations and for the population size, it makes it very difficult for radio stations to be able to be viable businesses, because the market is very fragmented and we keep giving on licenses for more radio stations to come. So it makes it very, very difficult for radio stations to run their businesses in commercially viable way to be able to compensate their people. Now, there are different ways that we can enhance our operations, and AI, like the team says, can help us in terms of positioning your brand so that you can differentiate yourself from your competitors. It can help you in running your operations to be more efficient so that you can be more commercially viable and increase salaries. On the other hand, I think that a lot of the work that radio stations do is public sector journalism, which, you spend a lot of money to put together all the reports that you are putting together, and nobody pays you for that, to highlight issues that affect the country. I also believe that as Parliament thinks about how they can enhance us paying people well, they begin to look at how they can create funds where radio stations who are producing public sector journalism, public journalism that improves society, can source funding from it to be able to do so. The weight on the radio stations are not a lot. In that case, the funding that is generated from other activities can be used to enhance compensation, whilst the funding from such bodies that have been set up by Parliament or the other institutions for public sector journalism can be focused on doing the work that we must do to enhance democracy, to improve literacy, improve general, the knowledge of our listeners.
Very well. Interesting points there. Thank you very much for your time and insights this evening. President of the Ghana Independent Broadcasters Association, Abdullahi Awudu, joining us on that issue. It's still live here on News Tonight on GHOne TV. Let's turn to the healthcare sector. After years of delay and growing public frustration, signs of life are finally returning to the long-abandoned La General Hospital project. Workers are back on site and contractors are moving in, reigniting hopes for the reconstruction of a facility that began in 2022 but has been stalled by repeated halts, pushing completion further out of reach. Residents in the La Enclave, however, say recent history does not inspire full confidence about completion of the project.
The La General Hospital was demolished about 6 years ago with plans of building it to a well-standard modernized facility. Work has been going on from 2022, but with unfortunate intermittent breaks. The last time they went on break, it took a very long time, and we understand that workers are back on site. Let's go to confirm if indeed work is ongoing. The hospital was brought down with plans to redevelop it to a well-standard modernized architectural health facility with over 150-bed capacity, OPD, maternity and neonatal care unit, surgical units, medical laboratory, pharmacy unit, imaging department, public health department, staff accommodation, and many other functions. Residents say they are excited about the resumption of the project but raise concerns over the recurring breaks. They fear the hospital might not get completed anytime soon to serve the area.
I feel so amazing, so happy, because this has been a great challenge for us.
So fine, because our market starts coming up and they will come out and buy food for us. They will come and buy things and people will start passing here.
For me, I can say the work is bigger than those people doing the work. I can count them like 8. For now, those are the people I can see, and the contractors there, I don't know, but the boys working there is like 8. And if you can see, the work is huge.
Well, let's stay on health-related issues. Ghana is marking International Condom Day at the national level for the very first time this February 13, 2026. just ahead of Valentine's Day, a move driven by alarming 2025 HIV statistics, according to the Ghana AIDS Commission and AIDS Healthcare Foundation. As of 2025, statistics show that more than 334,000 people are living with HIV in Ghana, with an estimated 42 new infections recorded every day. Health authorities say the campaign aims to curb the rising trend of HIV infections, STIs, unplanned pregnancy, particularly among youth, by promoting consistent condom use, reducing stigma, and providing free access to contraception. The Ghana AIDS Commission is urging the public to take responsibility, stressing that correct and consistent condom use remains one of the most effective ways to protect yourself and your partner. Well, let's now turn to the phone lines for a conversation on this with the Executive Director of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network. That's Ernest Otten, joining us now for more on this issue. Good evening to you, sir, and thank you for joining us. Now, rather concerning and staggering statistics there. With donor funding for HIV programs declining, how would you say that Ghana is advocating for the government to make the care and management of HIV more affordable for the average Ghanaian?
All right. Thank you very much, and a very good evening to you and all your viewers. So we are at a very critical moment in our national respect as a country. This is because we have been fighting HIV head-on for close to 30 years now. And so far, we have made some progress. But looking at what happened last year, when the U.S. announced that they were pulling out of a lot of multilateral health financing mechanisms, it really got us alarmed because, unfortunately for us, a lot of our HIV program depends on donor funds. And so, as it stands now, it is not looking good. And every opportunity we get, we call on government to ensure that some funds will be made available to the National HIV and AIDS Fund so that Ghana AIDS Commission, together with partner CSOs like Ghana, we can have the necessary resources to fight the disease HIV and AIDS.
Right. Now, you highlight that most of the HIV tools are funded by donor funding, which in itself is quite concerning. But one key issue remains that of sensitization. What increased efforts are we going to see by your outfit in that regard? Are there any initiatives such as donating free condoms to places like bus stops where it's highly populated? What sensitization measures are you taking?
Yes, so the Ghana AIDS Commission some years back had vending machines which were used to sell condom at a very subsidized rate, something like 1 cedi or thereabouts, so that people could easily have access to those condoms. Unfortunately, that system was abused, and so we could not sustain it. As we speak, the Ghana AIDS Commission is trying to bring back that innovation, so that vending machines will be made available at vantage points at a very affordable price so that people will be able to access condoms. In terms of sensitization, we also have a couple of initiatives that are aimed at using social media, because today's youth can best be reached on social media. So we are looking at interventions that will make use of social media to be able to reach young people and give them very helpful messages about HIV and AIDS. In fact, for us as Ghana, we are planning to launch an online delivery system so that wherever you are across the country, if you want to test and know your status, you can come to our online platform, place an order, and within 72 hours, the test kits will be made available to you, plus some condoms as well. So these are part of the initiatives that we are undertaking presently to promote awareness and prevention of HIV and AIDS.
Right. Now, Mr. Orton, very briefly before I let you go, the new infections remain particularly high among young people. That's between the ages of 15 to 24. You say that you've got these initiatives which involve new media, and you've got the Just Use It campaign. How effective do you think that this is at actually educating Gen Zs? Is it successful as it stands, and what more needs to be done?
Oh, yes. Some 1.5 decades ago, some 2 decades ago, we did a lot of traditional media. And that was because that was what was in vogue. Currently, what is in vogue now is new media, as you rightly mentioned. So we need to make use of these new media, particularly social media, in order to reach the youth. Because they spend almost all their hours online, and so we believe that if we couch the right messages, we'll be able to get them online and give them these messages.
Right. Now, Mr. Orton, finally, there are some who say that the size of condoms, they specifically say that it's too small for them, some men. Is this indeed the case? Are there varied sizes, or is it a myth, or is it indeed the case? And if it is the case, how is that set to be dealt with?
Okay, so I can assure you that all the condoms that come into the country, at least the ones that come in legally and are sold legally, I can assure you that the Ghana Standards Authority actually performs a lot of checks on them before they are let into the system. And these robust methods of checking these condoms ensure that the ones that come in are not substandard. They are the type that will meet the Ghanaian need, the Ghanaian demand, both in terms of size and in terms of safety. So I can assure you that the Ghana Standards Authority actually does a lot of analysis on these condoms, and unless they pass those kind of tests, they are not allowed into the system. So rest assured that once you are buying a proper condom from a recognized pharmacy or filling station or anywhere, it will be of good quality.
Thank you so much for your time this evening. Ernest Orton, the Executive Director of the Ghana HIV and AIDS Network, joining me here on News Tonight on GH1 TV. Do stay with us. We bring you lots more news shortly. Welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV with me, Natalie Force. And some more top stories this evening. Government has ordered a forensic audit and criminal investigation into the operations of the Ghana Cocoa Board over the past 8 years amid concerns about alleged financial mismanagement and board's growing debt exposure. Speaking during a press conference in Accra, the Minister of Finance, Dr. KCL Ato-Barforson, the Cabinet has directed the Attorney General to carry out the probe. The decision, he says, forms part of broader efforts to restore financial discipline, strengthen accountability, and address what government describes as significant irregularities.
A review of the cocoa sector over the last 8 years revealed gross mismanagement, which requires immediate and comprehensive review. Cabinet directed the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigation into the activities of Cocoa Board over the last 8 years. And I repeat, Cabinet also directed the Office of the Attorney General to commission concurrent forensic audit and criminal investigation into the activities of Cocoa Board.
Still on this issue, joined via phone by former head of corporate affairs at Cocoa Board, Fifi Bafo, joins me now for more on this. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining here on News Tonight. As you are aware, government has announced a reduction in 64 kg bag of cocoa from the previous 3,600 cedis to 2,587. What do you make of this price cut and the likely impact of it?
I think it is insensitiveness on the part of government, and then it shows that government does not care about the livelihood of Ghana cocoa farmers, and then also government does not care what happens after this, because obviously this is going to demoralize cocoa farmers further. These were the farmers who were promised that they were going to earn at least 6,000 Ghana cedis for a bag of cocoa. That did not happen. They only got about 3,600. Only for them not to even get paid for over 3 months. And the next action from government is to reduce their income for about 30%. How worse can it get if government can treat cocoa farmers this way? It would demoralize farmers. They will not be motivated to maintain their farms. And there's a high likelihood that these farmers may just give out their farms to illegal miners to just destroy our beautiful cocoa farms. Already, there are farmers who have called and engaged and said that, well, their farm hands are not motivated to work anymore because for several months they've not been paid, and then motivation is no more there. So to worsen their situation by reducing their income for about 30%, clearly, government is not interested in the cocoa farmer. Why is the government paying all persons involved in putting farmers in this situation their full amount of salary, but then the farmer must suffer for it? I think it is unfair, and it shows that government is not sincere with cocoa farmers.
All right, you say it's insensitive. It's an insensitive move by the government, and in your words, it's set to demoralize farmers. Now, Cabinet has also directed a forensic audit of Cocoa Board's operations over the last 8 years, a forensic audit and criminal investigation over the last 8 years. What do you make of this call? Do you think it's a good one for the sector in general?
Before I proceed with my answer, let me ask, does the last 8 years include 2025? Or the 8 years only refers to the 8 years when the MPP was in government? Anyway, government reserves the right to investigate whoever or whatever it intends investigating. No one can take that right from government. But that I know, it is part of the grand PR of government. You know, when this whole cocoa farmers non-payment issue came, government has tried very hard to place the blame on the previous administration. If you place the blame on the previous administration, one may ask, if you say that It is out of mismanagement and other probably wrongful acts that has caused this situation. There would be the need for such person who perpetrated that act to be punished. So government will just decide in order to let it sink in the minds of the people as if someone has done the wrong thing by saying that, well, go ahead, investigate them and do whatever. It is the right of government to do so. A false investigation is all to unearth something that may have happened. Whatever they find, our government decides to do what he wants to do with it. But I can assure you, this is not the first time an investigation is going to happen on the stewardship of people who are Cocoa Board, the 8 years of the MPP administration. I know that government has already conducted an audit of what happened when MPP was in power. When the NDC took over, they conducted an audit. What did they find? Is it that audit they are going to work on, or they are going to conduct a new audit? The choice is government, and they can go ahead and do so.
Fifi Barfor, thank you for your time. We'll have to wrap it up here. That's from former head of corporate affairs at Cocoa Board. Meanwhile, the minority in Parliament is calling for the Cocoa Board CEO and the Finance Minister to be summoned to brief lawmakers on the recent reduction of the price of a 64 kg bag of cocoa from 3,600 cedis to 2,500 cedis. Speaking on the parliamentary floor, Deputy Minority Whip Habibi Drisu insisted that the Finance Minister appear before the House to explain the decision.
The Minister who is responsible for the Cocoa Board, the CEO, the Agric Minister, because yesterday the Minister responsible for Finance had announced about policy. Being the people representative, we should be brief that the haircut that is given to the cocoa farmers, the price reduction from 3,625 to some 2,800, about 1,000 Ghana cedi being cut off. So we should be brief. So committee on the whole. So we have these three key people, our Greek minister, the minister responsible for the Cocoa Board, the CEO for Cocoa Board, so that we be properly brief on this.
Who has overview of the cocoa sector, and also the Greek minister and the chief executive of the Ghana Cocoa Board must appear, or the Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, it's very important that the Minister of Finance, who has sectorial overview of the cocoa sector, be made to come to present a statement which will require of you, respectfully, to even call for a committee of the whole on this very important matter.
I believe the Minister has addressed cocoa farmers. Maybe you want him to address members of Parliament, so we can have that discussion with the Minister and see the earliest possible convenient time when he can come and then address members of Parliament. But I can assure you that cocoa farmers have been spoken to directly by the Minister, and the cocoa farmers understand the situation, and it is unpleasant, but cocoa farmers understand the situation.
We'll bring you more on that issue subsequently here on GHOne TV. Let's turn to some security-related news now. The Inspector General of Police, Christian Tete Yohonu, has cleared a decade-long promotion backlog in the Ghana Police Service, promoting more than 12,800 officers across the country. The move, described as one of the most extensive administrative actions in recent police history, is aimed at addressing years of stalled career progression by clearing years of stalled promotions. The IGP has sent a strong message of fairness, institutional healing, and renewed commitments to the welfare of police officers.
Between January and the first week of February 2026, a total of 12,802 police officers from Lance Corporal to Chief Inspector were promoted, clearing delays that in some cases had lasted between 5 and 10 years. The Inspector General's Secretariat confirmed the development following sustained media inquiries, emphasizing that the nationwide exercise was guided strictly by law and due process. All units across the country's 25 police regions were directed to submit names of eligible officers, which formed the basis for the approvals. The Secretariat rejected claims of favoritism, stating that promotions are regulated by the Police Service Regulations 2012 CI-76 and not the discretion of the IGP alone. Of the total number promoted, nearly 11,900 were lower-ranking officers who had exceeded the required 4-year period in rank, while about 600 received elevation through special recommendations for exceptional service. Petitions were also reviewed, resulting in corrections of delayed promotions, reinstatements for officers previously acquitted, and posthumous promotions for personnel who died in the line of duty. For many officers, the promotion represents long-awaited recognition, restored dignity, and renewed motivation to serve.
You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. We bring you business news next.
The Business Brief is brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
Tonight in business, the Ghana Free Zones Authority is calling on cocoa processing companies to leverage its Free Zones program to expand exports and increase foreign exchange earnings. The appeal was made during the authority's National Chocolate Week celebrations, where officials emphasized the program's contribution to value addition and job creation in Ghana's cocoa sector.
Event, part of the Ghana Free Zones Authority's 30th anniversary celebrations, was held under the theme celebrating Ghana's cocoa heritage, the Free Zones way. Taste, learn and enjoy. It featured a product exhibition and media engagement with companies operating under the Free Zones program. Speaking at the event, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Lateef Apauredu, highlighted the authority's role in regulating licensed enterprise and promoting value addition, particularly within the cocoa subsector. He noted that through the program, companies are processing and exporting more cocoa products, boosting foreign exchange earnings and creating jobs.
Over the years, we have licensed a lot of companies to undertake different business activities. One of the major sectors that we have promoted is the cocoa subsector. If you see around, almost all the companies that have lined up here are licensed under the Free Zones program. And it is through the Free Zone program that we have been able to promote value addition for our cocoa sector. They export them on behalf of the country, shoring up our export earnings, bringing foreign, foreign exchange, and creating jobs because of the value addition.
He also emphasized that businesses do not need startup capital to participate, but must export at least 70% of their output.
In fact, the Free Zones program does not require any capital, to be able to join. All that you need is to be able to export a minimum 70% of your annual production. So we don't deal with scale. You may be operating at a very small scale, but once you are able to export what you do, you are free to join the Free Zones. Yes, and once you join the Free Zones, then you can benefit from all the support. That is import and export duty exemptions, then some tax waivers. All of that is to ensure that their cost of production, cost of operation is low. Then they can be competitive on the global market.
The authority is urging more cocoa processing companies to take advantage of the Free Zones initiative to expand into global markets and drive Ghana's export growth. Exhibitors at the event also shared how operating under the Free Zones program has enhanced their competitiveness through incentives and export support.
Under the Free Zone, we've had an opportunity to export about 99% of our products to overseas, and I think that has given us a very good leverage, and that has also helped us in terms of the taxes. So obviously, being under Free Zones gives you a bit of rebate on the taxation, and that has been a very good advantage for us.
So it gives us some holidays within which we can do our business without stressing over tax. And of course, when we have some imports, any import that has to do with technology or logistics that we will need to do our work with, we don't have to pay. We don't have to pay any tax on it, or we don't have to pay any revenue to government on that. So it gives us an opportunity to relax so that we will focus on the processing of the cocoa, which is the main core of our operation.
The authority says it remains focused on leveraging the program to strengthen Ghana's export sector and industrial growth.
In some more business news, the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has cracked down on the illegal sale of defective vehicle number plates, shutting down several non-compliant offices in Cape Coast and Sunyani. Their action follows a targeted enforcement operation led by the chief executive and his deputies. Investigations revealed that some garage owners were selling DV plates directly to private individuals, bypassing approved procedures. The plates were also sold at inflated prices, exploiting unsuspecting members of the public. The DVLA further found that some insurance companies operating on its premises were aiding the illegal activities by providing a hub for the black market sale of the plates. As a result, the affected insurance offices have been ordered to close with immediate effect. The DVLA has warned the public to obtain DV plates only through authorized channels, assuring that enforcement will continue to protect the integrity of the vehicle registration process. We're joined now by Stephen Atu. He is the Public Relations Officer at the DVLA. Good evening to you, and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Well, first of all, how widespread would you say that the issue of the illegal sale of DV plates is, and at what point did it get here? What led to this being so widespread, if it is?
All right, thank you very much, and a good evening to our listeners. The point is that we kept getting complaints from members of the public of the exorbitant fees that were being charged for the DV plates that were issued this year. So somewhere last week, the authority was compelled to put out the cost at which the DV plate was issued at 417 cedis. And we issued these plates out without insurance on them. And you know that per our laws in Ghana, you cannot put a vehicle on the road without having a minimum insurance coverage on it. So usually those who use the DV plates are required to have an insurance cover on that. At the cost at which the plates were being sold and the manner in which it was being sold became a subject matter of concern to us, the chief executive and his team. The point is that the law makes room specifically for vehicle traders, which are manufacturers, and then garage owners, and then makes room for licensed trade plate dealers, who may be individuals who have been licensed by the authority to deal in plates. What we have noticed is that a lot of people bring in vehicles, and the purpose for which DVs are issued is to the effect that somebody brings in a car, the vehicle needs to be taken through some mechanical work to fix it and get it roadworthy before registration is done. So the person may be entitled to a DV plate for that movement. But then we realize that there have been a lot of abuses to it. You have someone who has a DV embossed on his vehicle from January to December, and then he transitions into the ensuing year's DV plate. That is not what the law allows. If you pick our law, the Road Traffic Regulations 2012 LI 2180 under Regulation 23, it makes a clear indication as to who has the power or mandate to use a DV plate. And we have seen that this year, we've restricted the issuance of these DV plates and restricted them as much as possible to garage owners, vehicle manufacturers, as well as these licensed trade plate dealers who applied for it as far back last year and were allocated. Now, instead of ensuring that the DV plates are issued for the purposes of fixing one defect or the other, or where if you see anybody driving a DV plated vehicle and has a passenger seated by him, the purpose for that passenger is to the effect case. So they've taken the opportunity, they've seen the advantage that people are looking for this on their car and drive.
You say that this is clearly quite widespread. And so for those who have purchased these illegal plates unknowingly, in less than a minute, what would you say to them in terms of how they can, what advice would you put forward to them?
I didn't hear you well. I think the line was breaking at the point. But the point I was seeking to emphasize is that we want to restrict it for its purposes for which it is issued. And we realize that people are now using the DVLA premises. And so what happened was the chief executive came across a complaint by an individual who said a plate was sold to him at a certain cost. So he tried and investigated the matter and realized that the plate was actually sold to the individual from a DVLA premises. One was in Cape Coast, the other one was done in in Sunyani office. So upon investigations, we noticed that there were some insurance companies, and you know our premises allow for some insurance companies to operate because anybody who comes to register a vehicle, they need insurance. So the insurance companies have decided to also position themselves around our offices. But to realize that somebody who is conducting an insurance company now has taken upon himself to be a dealer in license plate, DV plate, for which reason they are selling it. We think that it does not augur well for the authority. Because for anyone who comes in there, he knows he has bought it from DVLA.
Very well.
And we don't want to carry this bad name, for which reason the chief executive has decided that those insurance companies are suspended from our premises.
Right. Now, Mr. Atu, we'd have to wrap it up here. I'd like to thank you for your time this evening. PR officer at the DVLA. You're still live here on News Tonight on GHOne TV, streaming live all across the world on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. That wraps up business.
The Business Brief was brought to you by CompuGhana, passion for technology.
This evening, the Ghana Sports Fund has received its first official donation today at the Ministry of Sports and Recreation in Accra. The National Investment Bank presented a check of 100,000 cedis to support the newly established fund. The donation marks the first private sector contribution since the Sports Development Fund bill was passed by Parliament. The fund is aimed at providing sustainable financing for sports development across the country, including grassroots programs, infrastructure, athletes preparation, and national team support. Speaking at the presentation, representatives described the contribution as a step towards strengthening collaboration between government and corporate Ghana in rebuilding and supporting sports.
The Minister, my board chair, and the administrator have all spoken. As a board member, I would like to add my voice to what they've earlier said, and I would want to express my utmost appreciation to the NIB. As you indicated, this is an audacious move. This is a responsible corporate social responsibility action on the ground, and we thank NIB so much. It's not surprising that in Parliament, almost everybody holds an account at the NIB, and this is what a responsible corporate organization should be doing. And you know, by supporting sports, you are helping.
Now, following their 2-2 draw at the Accra Sports Stadium, Ghana's Black Princesses have intensified preparations in South Africa ahead of the return leg of their FIFA under. Gaffer of the Princesses side, Charles Sampson, says the team has been working hard to improve their effectiveness in the final third as they aim to convert more of their chances. He expressed confidence in his squad, assuring Ghanaians that the players are focused, determined and ready to give their all in pursuit of qualification to Poland.
Today we just
Stay with us here on News Tonight. We bring you GHOne shortly. On GHOne tonight, Valentine's Day is often celebrated as a day of love with flowers, chocolates and romantic gestures. But in Ghana, it also exposes the many complexities behind relationships, from the joy of thoughtful gifts and carefully planned dates to the stress of meeting expectations and the unspoken pressures on givers and receivers alike. The day can highlight both the beauty and the challenges of love. For some, it's a time to celebrate commitment and shared moments, while for others, it can bring heartbreak, unresolved conflicts, or the quiet reminders of relationships that have ended. In a season that often focuses on public displays of affection, Valentine's Day in Ghana reveals the private stories of effort, sacrifice, hope, and sometimes disappointments that exist behind every love story. Nana Yao Asari has more.
Get someone who is sensible, someone who is at home that can help you too. Even right now, my crew is dating, so I'll call her. Oh, baby girl, my crew is dating. Can you watch for me? Oh, my mom is at home, so maybe later then you bring it here.
Don't know between only Obana. Say Obano Tiwasi now to Tinasia, then Odono, but say Moon Timu Wasia, Moon Ya Odono, Moon relationship now more common.
Okay. Did Ima produce as well, or just you?
Although Valentine's Day has grown into one of the biggest events on the social calendar, gifting remains at the center of the celebration. Traditionally, women have been viewed as the primary recipients, with societal expectations placing the responsibility of expressing love largely on men. However, as relationships evolve, more women are embracing the role of givers, while some men are openly speaking about the pressure and expectations that accompany the occasion.
Yes, she has been doing it, but actually she has been doing it. Even my wife has been showing love more than I, the family member.
I've never ever received like a gift from someone. Never. From like a girl or something.
I've been doing it, not only Val's Day, but normally on his birthday too, I do that, yeah.
Despite the focus on grand gestures and public displays of affection, Valentine's Day can also heighten feelings of loneliness. For some individuals, the season serves as a reminder of heartbreak, betrayal, or ongoing emotional strain within relationships.
Way back 2019 in Tema Secondary School, I had this girl, Cassandra. Yeah, she was very nice to me. So after we completed school, she just traveled to Canada. 3 months or something, I didn't hear from the girl. So I just buy new phone and I was on Instagram. What I see was she was taking some mirror picture with him, white man's son. And I was very, very, very broken-hearted. So I just find a way to get a number and inquire. So, oh, but I can't continue this relationship with you because you are in Ghana, you don't have anything to do. Even way back in school, you didn't take care of me. So now I'm getting someone who can take care of me. He has even rent apartment for me. And I was like, oh, Sandra. So upon the way, the love and the way we suffer in SHS, you are just doing this to me, so now you can say anything you want, I'll give you. And I was like, oh, okay, then if you can give me 2,000 right now, I'll just forgive you because I want to take you to who so that they can kill you. And he was like, you don't want to give me your bank account number, I'll give you 2,000. And I was like, I don't have some. So that day, I just rushed to the commercial bank and they opened just, right, she gave me the 2,000 and I just forgive her.
While the day is meant to celebrate love, it also exposes the realities many couples face, from financial pressure to unresolved conflicts that surface during emotionally charged moments. Nana Yao Asari, GHOne News.
Of love indeed. Wishing you a memorable Valentine's Day. Now, spot of international news, Nigeria has announced that its next presidential election will take place on February 20, 2027, with legislative polls to follow on a staggered timetable, and governorship elections are also scheduled for March 6, 2027. On that note, we draw the curtains on News Tonight this evening. Many thanks to you for making the time. It was produced by Emmanuel Ejabing and Stella Butchway, directed by Emmanuel Soa. I am Natalie Fort. Have a wonderful evening.